Buckle up, because it's real wild. Perez Hilton here, and there have been some Diddy updates over the last few weeks that I've ignored because I've had Diddy fatigue. There have been more lawsuits, but this video has a lot of new information, he alleges, that is interesting, to say the least. In a newly filed motion, the disgraced music mogul's lawyer asserts that the infamous freak-off tapes prove his innocence because they show two consenting adults, and actually the number is important, and I'll get to that in a second, but because the other participant was, according to his attorney, enjoying herself, he couldn't possibly be guilty. The latest legal filing says, quote, having reviewed these videos, it is now abundantly clear that they confirm Mr. Combs' innocence and that their full exculpatory value cannot be investigated and used unless they are electronically produced. Diddy's trial, unfortunately, is not going to be televised, so I have no problem with this being shown in court. I think it should, right? According to Marky Mark, not really his real name, his attorney says that in the 9 videos in question, all of the intimate acts are carried out, quote, between fully consenting adults. He argues, quote, contrary to what the government has led this court and the public to believe, the so-called freak-offs were private, intimate activity between fully consenting adults in a long-term relationship. Cassie is not named in this latest motion. She is just referred to as Victim 1. And yes, she dated him on and off, but mostly on for over a decade. And his attorney is adamant that she can't be a victim because she, quote, not only consented, but thoroughly enjoyed herself. What is very interesting, if true, and I had not heard this before, is this next part. All the prior stuff was just lawyers lawyering. His attorney says that the tapes directly refute the allegations that Mr. Combs kept these videos as collateral because they were not on his devices and not seized from his homes. Instead, his lawyer says that it was Cassie who kept the footage on her own device for years and that she produced it to the government herself, and that she was a willing participant in her own private, intimate life with Mr. Combs. That is interesting. And just as interesting, or perhaps even more, his lawyer also reveals that these freak-off tapes, quote, do not depict intimate parties, and that there are no secret cameras, no orgies, no other celebrities involved. You hear that? No other celebrities involved. I've said that since day one. This is why I am good. I'll believe this. I do believe no other celebrities were involved. Why? Because it was all about Diddy and professionals as well as her. I never thought other celebrities were involved. I'm good. No other celebrities involved, no underground tunnels, no minors, and not so much as a hint of coercion or violence, says his attorney. Ooh, this I don't agree with because we've heard from enough people. His lawyer also argues that there's, quote, no evidence that anyone is incapacitated or under the influence of hugs or excessive alcohol consumption, and certainly no evidence of trafficking. No. His lawyer doubles down, saying that Cassie was evidently happy, dominant, and completely in control in her intimate interactions with Diddy, and that there was no evidence of any violencia, coercion, threats, or manipulation whatsoever. Oh, and then it gets better. Oh, this is so rich. This is so rich. Poor Diddy's a victim, y'all. His lawyer says that Diddy is the victim of a sexist and puritanical system attempting to police non-conforming intimate activity. Quote, "It is sexist because the government's theory perpetuates stereotypes of female victimhood and lack of agency. The prosecution reflects a paternalistic view that the government is here to protect women who cannot be trusted to make their own decisions about SE and are not capable of consenting to SE that the prosecutors view as outside the norm." Well, I need to remind Mark, his attorney, that multiple women and men said that they did not consent. I do think it's a dangerous approach, though, for his lawyer to assert that there was no substances being used, because remember when he was arrested, he was found with substances. And I am certain that the prosecutors are going to call a lot of witnesses, perhaps even people that were on his payroll, a mule or others, who could testify that there were substances provided and that people perhaps were not of clear mind. And the traffic thing, it's not that cut and dry, because many people have come forward, the ones that had long-term relationships with him, and alleged that he used money as a means of control. And a lot of the folks were also professional lovers whom he did transport across state lines. And there are even more charges that the federal government could have brought against him and haven't yet. For example, when they raided his homes, they found a lot of illegal pew-pew. Yeah. He's not facing any pew-pew charges, but that could change. And I still think he will be sentenced to life. But his lawyers are doing what they're getting paid to do. And he's clearly not going to accept a plea deal, because any plea deal would see him behind bars for decades. So he's throwing it up against the wall like pasta and seeing what sticks. Whew, what an update this has been. A lot of information, much of it new. What do you think of this all? Let me know in the comments section.